camp, everything's structured from beginning to end. Like you're learning the rules, and you go from the rules to the ropes to your bumps, to your bumps, to your locking up. So it's just boom, 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 boom. Chain wrestling, then your moves, then your timing, then your conditioning drills. So you're doing the same thing every time you come in. You're just adding a little bit more. You know,
Right.
just like
Right.
just like you said, reps 2,000 times. You do a lockup 2,000 times, you do a headlock 2,000 times. Wrist locks, chain, just chain, learning how to work on the fly. You get your character. I was kind of ready to go. Like I was saying, my mind was already set in stone, man, on what I was working on hand signals. I was working on slogans, everything. So I was ready to go. But we're really trying to help everyone that comes in with our camp to leave with a character, to leave with music, to leave with a logo. So we're really trying to help you build in promo work, character work, get your backstory in play, and really play on all of that. So sometimes schools don't really offer that. You kind of have to figure it out for yourself after you get your training done. You know what I'm saying? So with us right now, we're in an availability to be able to offer that to almost everybody that comes through. Once you get your ducks in a row, and if you're ready at the end of those 12, not even if you're not ready, you should still have a character in mind. We'll work you through your theme music, come up with your backstory, what do you want your logo to look like, what do you want your hand sign to look like, all those things that are going to help market yourself out in the wrestling world. So it's just it's more than just putting on the boots and getting in the ring. It's
Yeah.
Mark, you have
Especially
to know. Yeah, you got to learn to be one of the first things you say is you got to learn to be uncomfortable because we're in the business of spectating. We're a spectator sport. So you got to learn to. I'm still learning with the promos, man. I've always been one of those guys growing up with the uh, public speaking. Nobody likes to public speak. It's the most terrifying thing in the world. But it
I
makes it. Yeah, yeah. Well,
I'm
that's
the
why you're really
exception. I'm
you're
the
really good at your
exception.
job. You're really good at your job. But that was one thing for me to learn to be uncomfortable, or learn to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. You just